Money follows discipline. Build wealth without burnout or guilt. You don't need to burn out to become wealthy. You don't have to hate yourself just to afford your dreams. And you're not lazy, you're just undisciplined. But that is about to change. Because when you master discipline, money follows, peace follows, and your future finally aligns with your power. Introduction. The truth about why you're stuck. Let me be honest with you. There was a time when I thought I had to hustle until I broke. I wore exhaustion like a badge of honor. No sleep, no peace, just pressure. I believed if I wasn't tired, I wasn't trying hard enough. If I wasn't sacrificing everything, I didn't deserve success. Sound familiar? You see, we've been fed a lie. A toxic culture that glorifies burnout, that worships the grind, that makes you feel guilty for resting, even when you're falling apart. But here's the truth nobody told you. Discipline is not about self-punishment. It's about self-respect. It's about choosing what matters most, even when it's not easy. And once I understood that, everything changed. I stopped working harder. I started working wiser. I built habits instead of chasing hacks. And slowly, money started flowing. Not because I was chasing it, but because I was becoming the kind of person it chases. Disciplined, focused, intentional. I began to trust myself again. No more guilt every time I spent money. No more shame when I chose rest. No more fear of not being enough, because I knew I was finally building wealth the right way, without burnout, without guilt, without losing my soul. And I want that for you too. Not the fake version of success you see on Instagram, not the borrowed dreams or the constant pressure to do more, but real freedom, the kind that starts inside you and radiates into everything. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline. And not the harsh, rigid kind that burns you out, but the sacred, soul-deep kind that builds your future brick by brick. The kind that honors your time, that protects your peace. That says, no more wasting days I can never get back. Because let me tell you something. Money is not the reward for working harder. It's the reward for becoming someone who can be trusted with it. Someone who knows how to manage emotion, who knows when to say yes and when to walk away, who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Discipline is the foundation, the path, the protection. And when you walk in discipline, wealth follows. But not just wealth in your bank account, wealth in your relationships, wealth in your energy, wealth in your self-worth. It all begins with one decision: to stop reacting and start leading. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not lazy. You're not broken. And you are not behind. You are powerful. And it's time to reclaim that power with one truth. Money follows discipline, always. And in the next few chapters, I'm going to walk you through how to build that discipline, how to protect it, how to use it to create a life you're proud of. We'll go deep. We'll get honest. And together, we'll destroy every lie that's kept you broke, exhausted, or afraid to rest. But before we move on, let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you felt proud of how you spent your time today? Do your days reflect the life you want? Or the one you're just surviving? What would your life look like if discipline became your new identity instead of stress? Let those questions sit with you. Because from this moment forward, you don't need to chase hustle. You need to chase clarity. And that clarity begins with this truth. Discipline is love in action. It's how you show up for your future self. It's how you say, I'm worth the effort. You are. You always have been. So take a breath. Let the guilt go and get ready. Because what's coming next is not just a lesson. It's a transformation. Chapter 1, The Discipline Identity. Becoming the person money trusts. Discipline is not something you do. It's who you become. It's not a temporary habit. It's a permanent identity shift. And if you want money to stay, to grow, to serve you instead of stress you, then you must become the kind of person money can trust. Let me explain. I used to think success came from doing more, stacking up my to-do list, running on caffeine and guilt, trying to impress people I didn't even like. But no matter how hard I worked, my bank account stayed the same. I'd get paid, then go broke. I'd save, then spend from frustration. Why? Because I hadn't become the kind of person money listens to. Money doesn't follow hustle. Money follows order. Money follows maturity. Money follows identity. And that identity is built on discipline. Think about it like this. Imagine money as a child. Would you leave your child with someone who's emotionally reactive? Someone who's always overwhelmed? Someone who has no boundaries, no structure, no peace? No. You'd protect that child. So why would wealth stick around? If your life is full of chaos, why would opportunity trust you? If you're still emotionally impulsive, this is why discipline is deeper than doing the right thing. It's about becoming the right person. A person with integrity, with structure, with emotional stability. A person who says, I know where I'm going, and I know what I must become to get there. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Jordan. He made great money freelancing online, nearly $80,000 a year. But every year, he ended up broke by December. He blamed taxes. He blamed the economy. He blamed bad luck. But the real issue? He had no financial identity, no system, no rules, no boundaries with himself. He saw money as freedom, not as responsibility. And that mindset kept him stuck. Until one day, he did something radical. He created a new identity. He wrote on a piece of paper, I am someone who respects money. I am someone who tracks every dollar. I am someone who doesn't chase pleasure. I pursue purpose. He taped it to his bathroom mirror. He repeated it daily. And, more importantly, he began to act like that person. Not just on good days, but when it was hard, when it felt boring, when old habits called him back. 6 months later, he had $15,000 saved, a vet-free business, and peace in his soul. Not because he worked more, but because he worked on himself. That's the power of identity-based discipline. Here's the secret. Habits that don't align with who you believe you are will always break. You can force a new behavior for a few weeks, but if deep down you still see yourself as someone who's bad with money or someone who never finishes things, you'll self-sabotage the moment you get tired. Discipline begins in the mind. You must reprogram the way you see yourself before you can upgrade the way you behave. So let me ask you, what is your current identity when it comes to discipline? Do you secretly believe you're inconsistent, undisciplined, lazy? Or do you see yourself as someone who honors their word even when no one's watching? This identity drives everything. If you want real wealth, lasting peace, and freedom, not just income, then you must become the kind of person wealth recognizes. Someone with internal order, because external wealth cannot survive internal chaos. Let's talk about practicality. Here's how you start building your discipline identity today. 1. Declare who you are, not just what you want. Stop saying, I want to be financially free. Start saying, I am someone who lives below their means. I am someone who doesn't chase dopamine. I chase legacy. Speak it. Write it. Own it. 2. Build micro-proof. Every time you do something small, like skipping an impulse buy or waking up early, celebrate it. Why? Because it's not just about the action. It's about proving your new identity is real. 3. Protect the discipline environment. You can't grow in chaos. If your phone is full of distractions, if your friends drain your energy, if your habits make you tired before noon, then no identity can survive that. Discipline is not just mindset. It's an ecosystem. Build one that supports who you're becoming. You have to protect your mind, like it's the command center of your entire wealth. Because it is. Your thoughts determine your focus. Your focus determines your behavior. And your behavior determines your future. If you keep saying, I'll try to be more disciplined, you're giving your brain permission to remain inconsistent. But when you say, this is who I am now, you flip the switch. You change the story. And when the story changes, the results do too. Let me leave you with this. You will not always be motivated, but you can always be someone who moves with intention. You will not always feel strong, but you can build systems that keep you grounded. You will not always be inspired, but you can train your identity to lead even when your feelings don't follow. This is what high performers do. They don't rely on hype. They don't wait to feel ready. They move because that's who they are. And you are becoming one of them. The kind of person who doesn't just attract wealth, but holds it, grows it, respects it. Because you've built the one thing money trusts above all, discipline. And that is just the beginning. Chapter 2. Respecting time like the wealthy do. Time, the one currency you can never earn back. The one asset that never waits. The one investment the wealthy never waste. You see, most people treat money like gold, but they treat their time like garbage. Scrolling, procrastinating, wasting hours on people and problems that don't matter. Then they wonder why their bank account never grows, why they're always behind, why the future feels like a fantasy instead of a plan. But let me tell you something the wealthy already know. Time is money's twin. And if you disrespect time, money will quietly walk away. Let me ask you something raw. How many days have you wasted this year? Not just watching TV or scrolling social media, but delaying decisions that could change your life? How many mornings did you wake up with a goal, only to drown in distractions by noon? How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow, and now it's 6 months later? You see, wealth isn't built in sprints. It's built in hours, minutes, moments, and every wasted one is a missed deposit in your future. I want you to imagine this. There's a bank account in your name. Every morning, it gets credited with 24 hours, not seconds, not dollars, but hours. And you're forced to spend them. You cannot save them. You cannot pause them. And you cannot get a refund. Would you still waste them on drama? On fear? On comparison? Would you still wake up late and scroll instead of build? Or would you treat those hours like sacred bricks, laying down the foundation for your next level? Because the disciplined, that's exactly what they do. Let me tell you about Maya. She worked a regular job 9 to 5 and always said she wanted to start a side business. She had the skills, the vision, even the name picked out. But every night, she came home tired. So she'd watch Netflix, order takeout, tell herself she'd start next weekend. 3 years went by. Then, one night, she heard a quote that hit her chest like a thunderclap. If you don't respect your time, no one else will. She realized she was giving away her dream 1 hour at a time. So she changed. Not everything overnight, but she began waking up an hour earlier. No phone, no noise, just discipline. She worked on her business before work, not after. Because she knew if she waited until she was tired, it would never happen. 1 hour a day, consistently, for 1 year. That business now earns her over $100,000 annually. And more importantly, she has peace, pride, and time that finally works for her. Here's the lesson. You don't need 10 extra hours a day. You need 1 hour of deep commitment, over and over again. Because every moment you spend with intention compounds. Every focused morning, every planned evening, every distraction you eliminate, all of it adds up. This is why time is more powerful than money. Because time can create money. But money can never buy back time. Now, let's get practical. How do you start respecting time like the wealthy do? 1. Calendar your dreams. Don't just say, I want to start a business. Put it in your schedule. From 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. equals writing. From 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. equals research. Make your goals a priority appointment. And never miss that meeting with your future. 2. Use the power hour rule. Every day, dedicate 1 uninterrupted hour to your biggest goal. No distractions. No multitasking. No excuses. Just deep, disciplined action. That 1 hour is worth more than 5 hours of half-focused chaos. 3. Set a no-waste boundary. Before you commit to anything, ask, is this moving me closer to my vision or just keeping me busy? Cut the empty conversations. Cancel the mindless scrolling. Unfollow the noise. This is your legacy, not a game. Let me ask you, If your time was a financial portfolio, would you be rich or bankrupt? Are you investing your hours or gambling them away on low-return habits? What would change if you treated your time like the most expensive asset you'll ever own? Because it is. Your time is your life, and every hour you disrespect is a dollar your future self will never see. Now, I want you to make a decision. Right now. Don't just hear this chapter. Act on it. Open your calendar. Block 1 sacred hour a day for you. Not for your boss. Not for your friends. Not for social media. For you. And if you stay consistent, that 1 hour will make you unrecognizable in 6 months. Because that's how wealth is built. Quietly, consistently, through time well spent. The undisciplined treat time like a joke. The disciplined treat it like an investment. So from now on, you're no longer too busy. You're in control. You choose your hours, or they will be chosen for you. And here's the most beautiful part. When you begin to master your time, you start to feel rich even before the money comes. Because deep down, you know you're not just reacting to life anymore. You're designing it. And the more you respect your time, the more wealth will respect you. Chapter 3. Why emotionally disciplined people build the strongest fortunes. Let's get real. You can have the smartest strategy in the world. You can read every wealth-building book. You can set the perfect routine, the perfect budget, the perfect plan. But if you don't have emotional discipline, you'll break your own rules the moment life gets hard. You'll buy out of boredom, quit out of fear, waste time trying to feel better instead of getting better. Emotional discipline is what separates the rich from the reckless, the free from the frantic, the fulfilled from the frustrated. Because without emotional control, wealth will always slip through your fingers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever made a decision just to escape a feeling? Spent money because you were stressed? Gave up on a project because it got uncomfortable? Ghosted your goals for a dopamine hit? We've all done it. That's because emotions are loud. They scream for comfort. They beg for relief. They tell you to react now and think later. But discipline whispers. It says, feel it, but don't obey it. Pause before you respond. Choose what serves you, not just what soothes you. This is where real power lives. Let me tell you about Kofi. Kofi was building his first e-commerce store. He had vision, passion, drive. But every time sales dropped, his emotions spiraled. He'd panic, start doubting himself, throw money at ads, scrap his whole strategy just to feel in control again. It wasn't logic guiding him. It was emotion. So I asked him, what would the calm, focused version of you do right now? Not the scared version, not the frustrated version, but the disciplined version. He paused, breathed, then said that version would stick to the plan and study the data. He did exactly that. And 2 weeks later, he saw a 25% increase in sales. All because he stopped obeying his emotions and started trusting his process. Listen carefully. Emotions are not enemies. They're messengers. They tell you what's happening inside, not what to do outside. But when you let them drive your decisions, you sabotage your future to comfort your present. You can't build a steady fortune with a shaky mind. You can't create consistent results with inconsistent emotions. You need emotional structure. You need inner order. Because money loves stability. And if your emotions are always swinging, so will your finances. Here's how emotionally disciplined people protect their peace. 1. They pause before they purchase. If something feels urgent, they wait. They sit with the discomfort. They ask, is this solving a problem or just numbing a feeling? Because they know temporary pleasure often brings permanent regret. 2. They don't personalize every problem. When business is slow, they don't say, I'm a failure. When things go wrong, they don't say, why me? They say, what's the lesson? They stay curious, not chaotic. 3. They master the power of response. They don't yell when they're angry. They don't quit when they're tired. They respond, not react. Because emotions are waves. And waves pass, but consequences stay. Let me ask you now, what emotion do you most often obey? Is it anxiety, fear, impulse, guilt? And how would your life change if you learned to feel it but not follow it? Discipline is emotional leadership. It's telling your feelings. You're allowed in the car, but you're not allowed to drive. That's how you stop wrecking your future. I want you to remember this. Your emotional decisions are always the most expensive. Think about it. How many people went into debt because they wanted to feel successful for a moment? How many walked away from a good idea because fear made them doubt? How many stayed in a job, a habit, a relationship, not because it was right, but because it was familiar? All of that is emotional expense. And if you don't manage it, it'll bankrupt your dreams. Here's a simple system I use when emotions hit. 1. Name it. Say exactly what you feel. I'm frustrated. I feel overwhelmed. 2. Normalize it. Remind yourself, this is part of growth. It's okay to feel this. 3. Navigate it. Ask, what would the best version of me do next? That small pause, that one breath of discipline, it changes everything. Because every time you choose logic over impulse, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of all success. Let me leave you with this truth. You don't need to suppress your emotions. You need to train them, to discipline them, to honor them without letting them hijack your future. The wealthiest people in the world, they're not just good with numbers. They're good with themselves. They know that emotional chaos leads to financial chaos. But emotional clarity, that leads to powerful decisions. That leads to peace. That leads to legacy. So today, commit to becoming emotionally disciplined. Not perfect, not numb, just grounded. Because when your emotions can't control you, you become unstoppable. Chapter 4. Burnout is not a badge. Redefining the path to wealth. You were never meant to build your dreams by destroying your health. You were never meant to earn money by losing your joy. You were never meant to grind yourself into dust, just to prove you're worthy. Let's be clear. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. A flashing red light on the highway of your life, screaming, something's out of balance. But in our world, burnout is celebrated. You hear it all the time. Sleep when you're dead. Hustle harder. Grind now, shine later. But what if that grind never ends? What if you shine for the world, but you're shattered on the inside? What if your success becomes a prison instead of a reward? That's not wealth. That's misery dressed in a money suit. Let me tell you the truth. Real wealth is not built through exhaustion. It's built through rhythm. There is a difference between hustle and harmony, between busy and balanced, between grinding harder and building smarter. Because the disciplined, they don't just chase money. They build systems. They protect their energy. They pace themselves for the long game. And that's why they last. I remember when I used to think burnout meant I was doing something right. Like pain was a sign of progress. I worked 14-hour days, skipped meals, ignored my body. And when someone asked how I was doing, I said, tired but grinding, as if that made me a hero. But behind the scenes, I was angry, disconnected, and numb. And the worst part? I started to resent the dream I once loved. That's the price of unbalanced ambition. You work so hard to build freedom that you become a slave to your schedule. Let me introduce you to Elena. She was a graphic designer, freelancing full-time. Clients loved her work. She was booked, busy, and constantly under pressure. From the outside, she looked successful. From the inside, she was falling apart. Headaches, anxiety, emotional crashes, waking up dreading the work she once loved. Then one day, her body gave out. She collapsed in her apartment from pure exhaustion. That moment changed everything. She took 3 weeks off. No screens, no emails, no hustle. She journaled, slept, reflected. And when she came back, she changed her entire business model. Fewer clients, higher rates, sacred rest days. 6 months later, she was making more money with less stress. And for the first time in years, she felt alive again. Not because she worked harder, but because she honored her limits. That's discipline. Not just working, but knowing when to pause. Let's destroy the lie that rest is weakness. Rest is strategy. Rest is intelligence. Rest is required. The most elite athletes in the world, they don't train 24 hours a day. They recover. They stretch. They protect their energy because they know longevity is more valuable than intensity. So if you're trying to build wealth, but you're chronically exhausted, you're building a business your body won't survive. That's not the plan. The plan is to create a rhythm that works with your soul, not against it. Let's get practical. Here's how the disciplined avoid burnout without sacrificing progress. 1. Work in blocks, not marathons. Set time blocks, 90 minutes of deep focus, then a break. Your brain needs recovery to stay creative. Your body needs rest to stay efficient. Don't chase hours, chase results. 2. Schedule joy on purpose. You schedule meetings, deadlines, workouts. Now schedule peace. 1 hour for reading. 1 walk in nature. 1 evening off screens. Joy is not optional. It's oxygen. 3. Listen to the whispers. Burnout never screams at first. It whispers in your headaches, your irritability, your apathy. Listen early, before the whispers become a breakdown. Let me ask you now, are you building wealth or building a breakdown? Is your schedule aligned with your purpose or just your pressure? What would it look like to succeed without destroying yourself? Let those questions settle, because burnout is not strength, it's imbalance. And imbalance will always sabotage the very success you're chasing. Here's the new philosophy I want you to embrace. Pace is power. Rest is radical. Balance is bravery. In a world that worships hustle, discipline whispers. Protect your peace. Preserve your health. Prioritize your soul. And from that space, you build a wealth that feels good, that lasts, that doesn't just look rich, but feels rich. Because what good is $10 million if your mind is wrecked and your body is falling apart? You don't want just income. You want wholeness. And wholeness is the fruit of disciplined rhythm, not reckless hustle. Let me leave you with this. The dream is still valid. The vision is still alive. But the way you pursue it must change. No more glorifying burnout. No more sacrificing yourself on the altar of success. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to build slow and still arrive on time. So from now on, honor your pace, respect your body, and remember, real wealth feels like peace. Chapter 5. Mastering the Boring. Why Small Daily Disciplines Unlock Big Dreams. Everyone wants the big breakthrough, the viral moment, the massive check, the big win that turns everything around. But here's the truth most people never want to hear. Success is not sexy. It's not fireworks. It's not applause. It's not magical mornings and million-dollar months. Success is boring. It's waking up when you said you would. It's doing the work even when no one's clapping. It's showing up, especially when motivation dies. You want to know the secret to massive transformation? Small, invisible, unglamorous actions, repeated without applause. Let me tell you a story about Joseph. He wasn't a genius. He didn't have 1 million followers. No trust fund, no mentor, no special treatment. Just a dream. To become a full-time content creator. For 6 months, nobody noticed his videos. 12 views, 7 likes, 0 comments. But he posted anyway, every day, without fail. While others chased hacks, he chased habits. While others waited to feel inspired, he built consistency. Then one video went viral. Over 2 million views, thousands of new subscribers, brand deals, passive income. People called it overnight success. But Joseph knew better. It wasn't one video that changed his life. It was 100 boring ones, stacked like bricks. Discipline made him ready for the moment. The problem isn't that most people lack talent. It's that they quit when things get repetitive. They want dopamine, not discipline. Excitement, not excellence. Speed, not stability. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Consistency beats intensity every time. What you do occasionally creates moments. What you do daily creates legacy. Think of discipline like a muscle. Every time you do something boring but important, you're strengthening it. Every time you wake up on time, plan your day, eat clean, choose silence over scrolling, you're telling your brain, I am someone who follows through. That identity compounds. And before you know it, you've built a version of yourself you actually respect. That's what the boring work does. It doesn't just build success. It builds self-respect. And when you respect yourself, everything changes. Let's talk about 3 small disciplines that transform lives. 1. The power of a morning anchor. Not a 3-hour routine, just a 10-minute anchor. It could be silence, a journal, a walk, reading, something that tells your brain, I lead the day doesn't lead me. 2. 1 focused hour of creation. Choose one thing. Write, build, sell, serve. 1 hour. No distractions. That hour is a seed, and seeds planted daily grow into forests. 3. End of day reset. Before bed, ask, what worked today? What drained me? What can I improve? That 5-minute reflection builds awareness, and awareness fuels transformation. Let me ask you, what tiny habit are you avoiding because it feels too boring? How much further along would you be if you just kept going for the past 90 days? What would change if you made peace with repetition instead of running from it? Boring is not the enemy. It's the bridge. It's the hallway between who you are and who you're becoming. And only the disciplined stay long enough to walk through it. You see, wealth doesn't show up for the most talented. It shows up for the most consistent. The person who saves $20 every week will beat the one who invests sporadically with no system. The person who writes 1 page a day will beat the one who waits for perfect inspiration. The person who trains for 30 minutes consistently will beat the one who works out for 5 hours once a month. Success is cumulative. Success is quiet. Success is boring. But boring works. Let me show you something powerful. If you improve just 1% every day for a year, you won't be 37% better. You'll be 37 times better. That's not theory. That's compound growth. That's what boring discipline creates. It's like brushing your teeth. 1 day doesn't do much, but do it daily, and you protect yourself from decay. Now apply that to your dreams. Write 1 page a day, make 1 call a day, invest 1 small amount a day. You won't feel the difference after a week, but in a year, you'll be unrecognizable. Here's what I want you to remember. The disciplined are not the most talented. They're the most consistent with the boring. They show up when it's not fun. They practice when nobody sees. They build in silence. And then one day, the world sees the results and calls them lucky. But luck is the reward of boring faithfulness. So let the others chase hacks. Let them chase hype. Let them seek shortcuts. You master the mundane, because that's where the treasure lives. Now here's your challenge. Choose 1 small, boring daily discipline and commit to it for the next 30 days. Just 1. Track it. Protect it. Repeat it no matter how you feel, because the day you stop needing it to be exciting is the day you become unstoppable. If this chapter sparks something inside, you don't keep it to yourself. Like this video so it reaches others who need this message. Subscribe to the channel because this journey doesn't stop here. And share this with a friend who's building something in silence. Remember, the world doesn't need more hype. It needs more quiet, committed, disciplined dreamers like you. Chapter 6. Building boundaries that protect your energy and multiply your wealth. Let me tell you the truth nobody told us growing up. Your energy is your real currency. Not just your money, not just your time, but your energy, your focus, your clarity, your peace. Because money follows energy. And where your energy leaks, your wealth leaks too. If you don't protect it, if you say yes to everything and everyone, you will find yourself broke, bitter, and burned out. Have you ever felt this? You start your day with a full tank, maybe even some motivation, but by lunchtime, you're drained. Not because of work, but because of interruptions, because of people who pulled you in every direction, because you said yes when your soul was screaming no. That's not poor time management. That's poor boundary protection. And without boundaries, You can't build anything that lasts. Boundaries are not walls. They're filters. They don't keep people out. They keep your peace in. They tell the world what you allow and what you no longer tolerate. They teach people how to treat you, and more importantly, how you treat yourself. And when you have boundaries, you stop bleeding energy. You stop wasting focus. You start multiplying what matters. Let me tell you about Malik. He was a talented designer, brilliant mind, great reputation, but his income never matched his skill. He was always tired, always behind, always putting out fires. Why? Because he couldn't say no. He let clients text him at midnight. He took every project, even the ones that drained him. He gave everyone his attention and left none for himself. Until one day, he broke down. Not because of the workload, but because of the energy drain. That day, he made one decision. I'm not available for chaos anymore. He created office hours, started saying no with clarity, not guilt, removed people who only came around when they needed something. And what happened? His peace returned. His creativity soared. And his income doubled because he could finally focus. Boundaries didn't limit his growth. They unlocked it. Here's what I need you to hear. You can't be available for everything and still have energy for your dream. You cannot build wealth if you're constantly distracted, constantly drained, constantly reacting. Discipline means protecting your energy like a vault, because what you allow will always continue. Let's get practical. Here are 3 powerful boundaries the wealthy live by. 1. Energy audit rule. Once a week, review your calendar. Ask, what gave me life this week? What drained my energy? Whatever drained, you evaluate it. Does it need to be removed, rescheduled, replaced? Your calendar should reflect your calling, not your chaos. 2. The no by default filter. Say no by default and yes by design. If it's not a clear yes, it's a clear no. You don't need an excuse. Your peace is reason enough. 3. Access costs energy. Not everyone deserves full access to you. Protect your notifications. Protect your time. You are not a 24/7 help desk for other people's emergencies. The more you protect your space, the more you protect your wealth. Let me ask you now, where is your energy leaking right now? What are you tolerating out of guilt, fear, or habit? What could multiply in your life if you simply started saying no? Because every yes is a trade. Every yes spends a part of your future. So start choosing wisely. Let me be real with you. People will not always like your boundaries. They'll say you've changed. They'll call you selfish. They'll try to guilt you. But here's what they won't say. I respect how tired you are. I appreciate how you burned yourself out for me. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. So if you're constantly exhausted, ask yourself, what boundary do I need to build today? And don't confuse being nice with being available. You can be kind and still say no. You can love people and still have limits. You can serve with excellence without sacrificing your sanity. Discipline is choosing discomfort now, so you don't live in regret later. And sometimes that discomfort is saying, I'm not available for that anymore. Not because you're cold, but because you're focused. And focus is expensive. You can't afford to waste it. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to fulfill your calling. You're here to grow, to build, to rise. And for that, you need boundaries like armor, because without them, you'll bleed out your purpose one yes at a time. Let me leave you with this. The version of you that reaches your next level, that builds peace and prosperity, that wakes up rested and fulfilled, that version has boundaries. That version protects their energy like treasure. That version doesn't say yes out of fear, but from power. So today, make the decision. Cut the noise. Cancel the chaos. Clarify what you're no longer available for, because your energy is wealth, and your boundaries are your vault. If this message resonated with you, it's time to protect your peace and help others protect theirs. Tap the like button. It helps the video reach people who need boundaries just like you. Subscribe to the channel because this journey is just beginning. And share this with someone who's constantly drained so they can finally take their power back. You're not selfish. You're disciplined. And that's what builds lasting wealth. Chapter 7. Money Habits That Create Peace, Not Pressure. Let's be honest. Most people don't manage money. They react to it. They don't have a plan. They have panic. They're not in control. They're in survival mode. And even when more money comes in, they still feel poor. Why? Because they don't have money problems. They have discipline problems dressed as money problems. If you want lasting wealth, not just spikes of income followed by droughts of fear, you need money habits that create peace, not pressure. Think about it. What's the point of making more money if it just creates more stress, more bills, more responsibilities, more fear of losing it? That's not freedom. That's bondage in a nicer house. Real wealth doesn't scream. It breathes. It doesn't rush. It rests. It's not loud and reckless. It's calm and consistent. And that kind of wealth only comes through discipline. Let me tell you about Lydia. Lydia used to earn just enough to pay her bills, about $35,000 a year. She thought, if I could just earn more, my problems would disappear. Then she got a new job, $65,000 a year. Finally, she thought, this is it. But 6 months later, she was in even more debt, more stress, more anxiety. Why? Because she didn't change her habits, just her income. And when your mindset doesn't match your money disappears. Lydia didn't need a raise. She needed rules. So she built a system. She created a weekly money check-in. She tracked her spending. She paid herself first. She gave every dollar a job before it left her account. And within a year, she saved over $10,000. She paid off 2 credit cards. And for the first time ever, she felt in control. Because money peace doesn't come from how much you earn. It comes from how well you manage what you earn. Let me say this again. More money does not fix undisciplined habits. It amplifies them. If you overspend when you make $500, you'll overspend when you make $5,000. If you avoid your bank statement now, you'll still avoid them with more zeros. The peace you crave? It's not a number. It's a habit. And habits are built, not bought. Let's break down 3 simple, powerful money habits that create peace. 1. The zero stresses budget. Most people hate budgeting because they think it's restrictive. But a real budget is freedom. It tells your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Give every dollar a destination. Groceries, savings, fun, bills, giving, growth. When money has a name, it behaves better. 2. Pay yourself first. Before you pay anyone else, pay you. Even if it's $10 a week, even if it feels small, you're telling your brain, I come first. My future matters. Over time, those small deposits build something big, and that consistency builds self-trust. 3. Weekly wealth check-ins. Every Sunday, spend 10 minutes with your money. Look at what came in, what went out, what needs adjusting. This simple rhythm builds awareness, and awareness is the beginning of control. Most people are afraid to check their finances because they're afraid of the truth. But the truth will set you free. Let me ask you something. Do you know where your last $500 went? Do you spend with intention or emotion? Are your current money habits creating calm or chaos? This isn't about judgment. It's about responsibility. Because responsibility equals freedom. Here's what emotionally wealthy people do. They delay gratification. They save before they spend. They buy things once, not 3 times, because they didn't plan ahead. They say no to what they want now because they care about what they want most. And that level of discipline feels better than any quick purchase ever could. Let me tell you something powerful. Peace is the new flex, not the car, not the designer label, not the rented lifestyle. It's waking up knowing your bills are covered, knowing your savings is growing, knowing you're not at the mercy of your next paycheck. That is real wealth. And it's available to you not someday, but starting today. Here's a simple challenge to get you started. The Peace Habit Challenge. Create a weekly money ritual, even just 15 minutes. Build a peace fund, not for emergencies, but for freedom. Cancel one unnecessary expense this week. and reroute it toward your future. The goal isn't to be rich next week. The goal is to stop being stressed forever. Let me leave you with this. Money is a mirror. It shows you what you believe, how you behave, what you value. So don't just chase more. Manage better, build calmer, spend slower. Because money flows where peace lives. And peace lives where discipline leads. If this chapter helped you breathe deeper, don't keep it to yourself. Tap that like button to help this message reach someone who needs money, peace. Subscribe to the channel because you deserve a lifetime of clarity, not confusion. Share this with a friend who's tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Let's build wealth. The calm way, the clear way, the disciplined way. Chapter 8. Delayed gratification, the superpower of the wealthy. Let me tell you something most people will never understand. The wealthy don't chase pleasure. They master patience. They don't need it now. They don't fold under impulse. They know how to wait and win. And that is a superpower. Because in a world of instant gratification, the one who can delay reward controls the future. Think about it. Most people trade their future for a moment of comfort. They buy the shoes before they have savings. They upgrade the phone before they've built a business. They take shortcuts because waiting feels like suffering. But what if waiting was winning? What if patience was profit? What if every time you delayed gratification, you weren't losing anything? You were building everything. Let me tell you about Alex. He had a dream to start a digital product business. He needed a laptop upgrade, better software, marketing capital. But instead of buying everything at once on credit, he waited. He worked a part-time job, lived below his means, saved $50 a week for 8 months. His friends laughed. They said he was too slow. They bought new phones, went on trips, ate out every weekend. But Alex stayed focused, disciplined, patient. And when the time came, he launched his business debt-free. And within 2 years, he passed 6 figures in earnings. Not because he was smarter, not because he got lucky, but because he understood. Delayed gratification is how the patient overtake the proud. Here's the lie society sells. If you don't have it now, you're behind. Why wait when you can finance? Treat yourself, you deserve it. But let me ask you, deserve what? Stress? Debt? The anxiety of paying off something that brought you 5 minutes of excitement? You don't need more dopamine. You need more discipline. Because dopamine fades, but discipline compounds. Let's talk about what delayed gratification really looks like. 1. Saving before spending. You see something you want? Wait 2 hours. Let the impulse fade. If it still makes sense after 3 days and fits the plan, then consider it. But more often than not, you'll realize it was emotion, not need. 2. Investing over impressing. The wealthy don't need to show off. They let their assets speak. Before buying new clothes, they buy stocks. Before a fancy car, they fund their peace account. Before flexing, they build. They live by this truth. I'd rather be rich than look rich. 3. Sacrifice now. Multiply later. You give up fast food now. You get health and energy later. You give up scrolling now. You get skills and income later. You give up the party now. You wake up with clarity, not chaos. This is not punishment. It's preparation. Delayed gratification isn't about suffering. It's about strategy. It's saying, I care more about my future than my feelings in the moment. That mindset will build a legacy. Let me ask you now, what's one area of your life where impulse has been stealing your progress? What's something you could wait on that would protect your peace? How different would your life look if you mastered the art of not yet? Because here's the truth. Not now doesn't mean not ever. It means you're building from wisdom, not weakness. And wisdom builds wealth. I want to show you something powerful. The marshmallow test. Back in the 1960s, psychologists gave kids 1 marshmallow and said, you can eat it now, or wait 15 minutes and get 2. Some kids waited, others couldn't. Years later, the kids who waited, they had better grades, higher incomes, stronger relationships, more disciplina. Why? Because they knew how to say, Later will be better, so I can wait now. Now imagine that in your own life. What if you could become the kind of person who waits, who saves, who builds slowly, but strongly? What would that unlock for you? Let me give you a simple system to start practicing delayed gratification. The delay habit loop. Trigger. You want to buy or do something impulsive. Pause. Say out loud, "Let me wait." Redirect. Do something else for 10 minutes. Reflect. Ask, "Would my future self thank me for this decision?" This rewires your brain. It creates space between desire and decision. And that space is where your power lives. Listen, the world moves fast, but that doesn't mean you have to. Discipline says, "I'm not missing out, I'm leveling up. I'm not falling behind, I'm focused. I don't need it now, I'll earn it forever." Let me leave you with this. Success loves the slow cooker, not the microwave. Anyone can chase a quick hit. Few can build quiet habits that last decades. The ones who can delay, dominate. The ones who can wait, win. And the ones who choose patience over pressure, they live in peace, because their life isn't ruled by emotion, but built on discipline. If this message gave you clarity and confidence, share the wealth. Like this video to boost its reach. Subscribe to the channel. We're building a disciplined army of wealth creators. And send this to someone who's always rushing so they can finally slow down and win. You've waited long enough to change. Now it's time to wait, to grow. Chapter 9. Embracing the long game. How the disciplined build legacies. Everyone wants to win fast. Get rich quick. See results now. But here's what the great ones know. The long game always wins. Not because it's flashy, not because it's easy, but because it's unbreakable. The long game is where true wealth is built, true peace, true power, and only the disciplined survive long enough to claim it. Let me ask you something personal. Are you playing to look successful today? Or to be successful 10 years from now? Are you chasing dopamine? Or are you building something that will outlive you? Because if you want legacy, not just lifestyle, you must think longer. You must sacrifice deeper. You must endure storms without quitting the mission. That's what separates those who last from those who just look loud for a moment. Let me tell you about Emmanuel. He started a podcast in 2018. The first year, he had 22 listeners. He edited every episode himself, woke up at 5 a.m. before work, taught himself audio, marketing, content strategy. For 3 years, almost nobody paid attention. No sponsorships, no viral clips, no recognition. But he kept going, every week, without fail. Why? Because his goal wasn't to go viral. His goal was to build value, to build trust, to build legacy. Now, 6 years later, that podcast is streamed in over 30 countries. It earns multiple six figures a year. And, more importantly, it's changing lives. Because he stayed in the game long enough for the world to notice. Here's what most people do wrong. They quit too soon. They launch a business and expect riches in 3 months. Start a savings plan and get discouraged after 30 days. Invest in a skill and abandon it when it feels slow. But the disciplined, they know the early stages are silent. The middle seasons are messy. The growth is often invisible, but it's happening. Just like a seed buried underground. You can't see the roots growing. But if you stay faithful, one day it breaks through the soil, and the people who mocked your slowness will beg to know your strategy. Let's talk long game mindset. 1. Think in decades. Act in days. Every day ask, what small action today moves me closer to the person I want to be in 10 years? That question builds momentum. That question silences comparison. That question gives your discipline a direction. 2. Choose legacy over likes. Don't build to impress. Build to endure. When others post to look rich, you build systems to become rich. When they chase trends, you chase truth. Because clout fades, but character compounds. 3. Track the invisible wins. Not every win is financial. Did you show up? Did you honor your habits? Did you stay consistent? Celebrate that. Because the long game isn't always about results. It's about who you're becoming in the process. Let me ask you, are you building for applause or for impact? What would change in your life if you committed to the next 5 years, like your dream depended on it? What's the cost of quitting too early, just because it feels quiet now? Let those questions sit with you, because your vision, it's still valid, but you need to build it like it's real before anyone else sees it. Here's a truth that might shake you. The people you admire today were disciplined yesterday. They didn't wait for motivation. They didn't demand attention. They built. They sacrificed. They stayed. That's what the long game demands. Focus, faith, and follow through. I know the silence is hard. I know the progress feels slow. But don't you dare measure your harvest by what you see in the first season. Because the seed you planted in discipline, it's alive. Even if the world can't see it yet, keep watering, keep working, keep walking. Because when your breakthrough comes, it will not be small. It will be the reward for years of quiet, faithful labor. Let me leave you with this. The long game is not about doing more. It's about doing less for longer. Not chasing, but committing. Not switching lanes, but staying steady. Because the disciplined don't build fast, they build forever. And when everyone else is burned out, they're just getting started. Because their foundation was deep and their focus was unshakable. If this chapter reminded you of what you're building, let it fuel your next move. Like the video not for numbers, but to amplify this message to someone who's close to quitting. Subscribe to the channel because long game thinkers need long-term guidance. And share this with someone who's been discouraged by slow progress. Let them know they're right on time. You're not late. You're early in the game. And your legacy is being written right now. Stay in it. Stay faithful. The long game is yours. Chapter 10. Discipline in relationships. Choosing people who protect your peace and priorities. Let's get brutally honest. You can't build a disciplined life in an undisciplined environment. You can't grow when you're constantly around people who drain your energy, distract your mind, or disrespect your progress. No matter how strong you are, the people in your life shape your decision, shape your habits, shape your identity. If they don't respect your growth, they will eventually slow it. And that's why discipline in relationships is just as important as discipline in your bank account. Let me ask you something raw. Do the people around you make it easier to grow or harder? Do they challenge your excuses or do they enable them? Do they clap for your goals or secretly compete with your progress? Because here's the truth. Every time you level up, your circle must be reevaluated, not out of pride, but out of protection. Because your energy is sacred, your peace is fragile, and your dreams? They need a climate of clarity to survive. Let me tell you about Jordan and Maya. They were best friends since college. Both smart, driven, ambitious at first. But over time, Jordan started growing, reading, saving, changing his habits. Maya didn't. Every time he tried to make new moves, she'd make jokes. Why you acting brand new? Since when did you become better than us? But it wasn't funny. It was fear. You see, when you change, people around you feel one of two things, inspired or threatened. And Maya, she felt threatened by Jordan's evolution. Eventually, he had to make a hard decision. He didn't ghost her. He just created distance. Not because he didn't care, but because he cared about his future more. Fast forward 2 years, Jordan is thriving, debt-free, focused, calm, and surrounded by people who don't pull him backward. That's what relationship discipline does. It doesn't just protect your circle, it elevates it. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to cut people off to move forward, but you may need to reposition them. Some people go from daily conversations to occasional check-ins. Some go from full access to respectful boundaries. It doesn't mean you're arrogant. It means you're aware. You don't owe everyone your energy. You owe it to your purpose. Let's talk about the kinds of relationships that sabotage your growth. 1. The guilt trippers. Every time you say no, they make you feel like the villain. They use guilt as a leash. But here's your reminder. Guilt is not a reason to stay small. You're not responsible for other people's discomfort with your discipline. 2. The energy vampires. They never pour into you, just pull from you. They only show up when they need something. Every conversation feels like a chore. That constant drain, it adds up. You can't build discipline in chaos. You need space to breathe. 3. The comfort pushers. They love you, but they love your comfort zone more. They'll say, "You've done enough. Take a break. Why are you working so hard?" It sounds kind, but it keeps you stuck. Sometimes love looks like sabotage when it lacks vision. Now let's flip it. Here's what to look for in growth relationships, the kind that fuel your discipline. 1. The accountability partner. Someone who reminds you who you said you wanted to become. They don't let you slide on your standards. They speak truth in love even when it's uncomfortable. 2. The mirror friend. They challenge your blind spots. They reflect your inconsistencies. Not to shame you, but to sharpen you. 3. The expander. They've been where you're going. They speak from wisdom. They inspire you by how they live, not just what they say. Even just one of these people can accelerate your growth like nothing else. Let me ask you now, who in your life needs more boundaries, not more access? Who in your circle drains your focus or disrespects your priorities? And who are you becoming more like? Simply by being around them. Because proximity is power, and you become who you're connected to. So protect your circle, or your circle will slowly infect your focus. Here's a discipline challenge. The circle reset ritual. Make a list. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Rate them from 2 to Yan 2. Negative numbers drain you. Positive numbers grow you. Adjust access. Create space. Build boundaries. Seek out at least one person who stretches you, not shrinks you. This one shift could change everything. Let me leave you with this. Discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about who you allow in your atmosphere. Your dreams are delicate. Your focus is rare. Your vision is sacred. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your transformation. So from now on, speak with love, but move with strategy. Your purpose is too big to carry everyone with you. If this chapter opened your eyes, take a moment right now. Hit that like button to push this message to someone who needs permission to protect their peace. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep building this disciplined, purpose-driven community together. And send this to that friend you've been growing with, the one who pushes you higher. Because if you want to go far, you need the right people in your corner. Chapter 11. Why saying no is the most powerful money decision you'll ever make. No? Just 2 letters. But when spoken with conviction and clarity, they become the strongest weapon in your financial toolbox. Not a budget. Not a savings app. Not even a higher income. It's the discipline to say no to the wrong things, the wrong timing, the wrong people, the wrong impulses. Because every yes costs something. And until you understand that, you'll keep spending your future on things that don't serve you. Most people stay broke, not because they don't make money, but because they say yes too easily. Yes to eating out 5 times a week. Yes to monthly subscriptions they barely use. Yes to upgrading when the old one still works. Yes to events, habits, and purchases that feed their feelings, not their future. And every one of those yeses feels small in the moment, but together they become the difference between financial peace and financial pressure. Saying no isn't about deprivation. It's about direction. It's about knowing where you're going and refusing detours dressed as opportunities. Let me tell you about Priya. She had one financial goal: to save $20,000 in 12 months. But she had a pattern. She hated disappointing people. So every time her friends invited her on a trip, she said yes. Every time someone needed a loan, she gave it. Every time she saw something on sale, she convinced herself it was smart spending. By month 6, she was stressed, behind, overwhelmed. So she sat down, took a deep breath, and made a list titled, "Things I Need to Say No to Say Yes to My Future." It had 10 items, all reasonable, all emotional, but all blocking her growth. She committed to the list. 6 months later, She hit her goal, saved $20,000. And more importantly, she had peace, clarity, power, because she realized saying no is how you honor your future self. We've been taught that saying yes is kind, that no is rude. But here's the truth. Saying yes out of guilt is not generosity. It's emotional self-sabotage. And you cannot build wealth from a place of guilt. You must build from clarity, from conviction, from alignment. Here are 5 powerful things you must learn to say no to. 1. Say no to emotional spending. Before every swipe or click, pause. Ask yourself, am I buying from peace or from pain? If it's pain, wait. Let the emotion pass. Because feelings fade, but financial consequences don't. 2. Say no to people-pleasing purchases. You don't need to match someone else's lifestyle. You don't need to attend every party, every baby shower, every dinner if it breaks your budget. You're not disrespecting people by protecting your plan. 3. Say no to it's only thinking. It's only $10. It's only one drink. It's only a few clicks on Amazon, but 10 becomes 100. One drink becomes one night. A few clicks become regret. Small leaks sink big ships. 4. Say no to distractions disguised as opportunities. Not every side hustle is for you. Not every deal is aligned. If it pulls you away from your core goals, let it go. Clarity isn't just knowing what to do. It's knowing what not to do. 5. Say no to overcommitting your time. Because your time is directly connected to your income. If your calendar is cluttered, your finances will be too. Saying no creates space. Space to focus. Space to breathe. Space to build systems. Instead of putting out fires. It's in that space that true wealth grows. Not rushed, not forced, but nurtured like a garden. Because discipline isn't about pushing harder. It's about choosing smarter. And sometimes the smartest choice is to say no even when it's hard. Let me ask you now, what have you been saying yes to that you know you need to let go of? What are your automatic habits or obligations that no longer align with your vision? What would it look like to say no more often, not to be cold, but to be clear? Because clarity is love. To yourself, to your goals, to your legacy. You don't need a magic system to get ahead financially. You need discipline disguised as simple refusals. No to impulse. No to guilt. No to proving anything to anyone. That kind of self-control, it multiplies your results faster than any raise ever could. Let's flip the mindset. Saying no is not loss. It's leverage. It's leadership. It's long-term thinking in a short-term world. It's the kind of decision that builds the quiet confidence most people only dream of. Because when you can say no, you're no longer controlled by fear, by culture, by cravings, by the pressure to keep up. You're in charge now. Let me leave you with this. You don't rise by saying yes to everything. You rise by saying yes to the right things and no to everything that waters down your power. You are not here to be agreeable. You are here to be aligned. And when your no becomes strong, your yes becomes sacred. And your future? It becomes inevitable. Chapter 12. Why wealth is a reflection of self-discipline, not luck. They'll say you got lucky, that you were in the right place at the right time, that you had an advantage they didn't, that something outside of you made it happen. But here's the truth. Wealth is not luck. Wealth is self-discipline, reflected in numbers. It's not an accident. It's a mirror. Whatever you build in private, whatever habits you repeat, whatever mindset you protect, it all shows up loud and clear in your results. Most people never get this. They blame their boss, the government, the economy, the algorithm, the timing, everything, except their own patterns. But the wealthy, they know the truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're disciplined enough to sustain. And without self-discipline, you'll sabotage every opportunity that shows up at your door. Let me introduce you to Sam. Sam inherited $50,000 from a relative. Everyone said, "Wow, you're so lucky." They assumed he'd use it to build something powerful. But Sam had no system, no self-discipline. no emotional regulation. So what did he do? He upgraded his lifestyle overnight, bought a new car, a new watch, went on 2 vacations, loaned money he never got back. Within 8 months, the money was gone. So was the peace. So was the opportunity. Because you don't rise to the level of your income, you fall to the level of your habits. Now, let me tell you about Layla. She started with almost nothing. Single mom, minimum wage job. But one day, she decided, I may not have money, but I can control my discipline. She tracked every dollar. She learned on YouTube for free. Started a side hustle reselling used furniture. Every time she made a sale, she reinvested, not splurged. Every win she built upon it, not wasted it. 3 years later, she owned a business, had savings, had peace. Not because she got lucky, but because she got focused. That's the difference. That's the discipline. You see, we're all given different starting lines. That's true. But discipline, that's the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you start. It cares what you repeat. And what you repeat, that becomes your reality. Let's talk about how wealth and self-discipline are connected. 1. Consistent saving is not a math skill. It's a discipline skill. Anyone can create a savings plan, but only the disciplined stick to it. They save when it's boring, when it's hard, when others are flexing for Instagram. They're not motivated, they're mature. 2. Investing isn't about smarts, it's about control. The market goes up and down, but the disciplined stay consistent. They don't panic sell. They don't chase hype. They build wealth slowly because they trust the process. That trust comes from self-discipline. 3. Earning more isn't enough. You must know when to wait. The disciplined don't jump ship at every shiny object. They grow deep before they grow wide, because they understand that saying no to distractions is what creates room for expansion. Let me ask you now, have you mistaken your lack of wealth for bad luck instead of inconsistent discipline? Where in your life are you hoping for miracles, but not managing what you already have? What would shift if you believed your current habits were the seeds of your financial destiny? Because they are. And every time you say, I'll save it later, I'll try again next month, I just need to make more money first, you're delaying the breakthrough that only discipline can unlock. Self-discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's you telling the universe, I'm ready. I'm responsible. I can be trusted. You want more? Start mastering what you already have. You want peace? Start honoring your promises, especially the ones you make to yourself. Because every time you delay gratification, every time you choose action over excuse, every time you protect your routine over your mood, you're building wealth, maybe not in numbers yet, but in mindset, in self-worth, in strength. And that inner wealth, it always shows up in outer results. Let me give you this truth. Self-discipline is the original wealth generator. Before the side hustle, before the investment, before the 6-figure month, it begins with decisions. Small, quiet, often unseen. Like going to bed on time, tracking your spending, keeping a promise when no one else is watching. That is wealth building. That is the blueprint. That is how you become unstoppable. You don't need luck. You need consistency. You need standards. You need structure. The rest will take care of itself. Because when the disciplined meet opportunity, that's when miracles happen. Not because of chance, but because of preparation. Let me leave you with this. If your life is chaotic, your wealth will be unstable. If your habits are random, your results will be unpredictable. But if your discipline is consistent, your future becomes undeniable. Because in the end, wealth is not something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. And the builder is you. Chapter 13. The Disciplined Life. Designing a future you're proud to wake up to. Take a breath. Close your eyes for a moment. And picture the version of you that you've been working toward. The one who wakes up without anxiety. The one who looks at their calendar with clarity, not dread. The one who pays bills with peace. The one who moves through the world calm, focused, grounded, because they know who they are. That version of you? It's not a fantasy. It's not a lucky break. It's not a dream reserved for the chosen. It's built, brick by brick, decision by decision, through one thing, discipline. Not the harsh kind, not the soul-crushing, rigid kind that leaves you empty, but the sacred kind, the wise kind, the kind that honors your energy, your peace, your purpose, the kind that says, I am designing my life on purpose, not reacting to it by accident. That's the disciplined life. And it's yours for the claiming. Let me be real with you. You've spent enough time just surviving, waking up late, rushing through the day, running on fumes, responding to emergencies, feeling like life is just happening to you. But the disciplined, they live differently. They don't just wake up, they arrive with intention, with presence, with a plan. And that doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. Let me introduce you to someone you may know. Your future self. She's not overwhelmed. He's not scattered. They don't feel guilt when they rest, or shame when they say no, because they've built a system that works for them, not against them. They've mastered money because they mastered emotion. They've mastered peace because they mastered time. They've mastered consistency because they mastered identity. They didn't wait until life got easier. They got stronger, more structured, more self-respecting. And that's what brought the wealth. That's what brought the freedom. That's what made them proud to wake up every single day. Here's the question. Are you living a life that your future self will thank you for? Or apologize for? That's the mirror discipline forces us to look into. Not to shame us, but to awaken us. Because once you realize that every choice you make is a deposit into the future you're building, you start to move differently. You start to eat differently, sleep differently, spend differently, speak to yourself differently. Because you're no longer trying to impress the world. You're trying to honor the version of you that's still becoming. Let's talk design. Here are the foundational elements of the disciplined life. 1. A morning that leads, not lags. The disciplined don't stumble into the day. They lead it, even 15 minutes of silence. A plan, a focused intention. It changes the energy of everything that follows. Your first hour sets the tone for your future. 2. A calendar aligned with purpose. If it's not on your calendar, it's not in your life. Discipline means creating space for what matters and eliminating what doesn't. Every yes to clutter is a no to your calling. Your life is not just built on time. It's built on priority. 3. An environment that reflects your standards. You cannot rise in chaos. Your home, your workspace, your digital space, they should mirror the future you're designing. Declutter, simplify, make room for growth. Because where there's order, there's energy. Where there's structure, there's flow. And finally, 4. A daily decision to honor your identity. Every single day, discipline asks you, who are you becoming? Are your actions aligned with your identity? Is today moving you closer to who you want to be? Or just distracting you with noise? And when you can say, yes, today was aligned, that's how you build a future you're proud to wake up to. Let me ask you now, what does your ideal future actually look like? What does your disciplined self do every day that you're not doing yet? And what's one thing you can eliminate to move closer to that version of you? Because change doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things over and over and over. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to take ownership. Willing to slow down and focus. Willing to say, I've waited long enough. It's time to build something real. Because the disciplined life, it's not built in a week. It's not built through hacks or hype. It's built through steady, honest, courageous work. And you've already started. Look how far you've come. The fact that you're here, listening to this, says everything. It says you care. It says you're not like everyone else. It says you're ready. And now, it's time to live like it. To wake up tomorrow and lead. To say no when you used to say yes. To sit with discomfort instead of running from it. To build instead of beg. To rise instead of react. Because this is your life. And from this moment on, you're designing it with discipline, Final chapter. You made it. Not just to the end of a script, but to the edge of a new beginning, a new version of you, a new future, a new identity. And I need you to hear this clearly. Right here, right now. You're not lazy. You were just distracted, unfocused, unprotected, undisciplined, but never incapable. And now, you're ready. You've heard the truth. You've felt the shift. You've been called to rise. So don't let this just be something you listen to. Let it be the moment you changed. The moment you stopped begging life to be easier and started building the strength to meet it. The moment you realized that wealth, peace, purpose, they don't come from luck. They come from you, from your discipline, your systems, your choices stacked daily like bricks of a new life. Look at how far you've come. 13 chapters of raw, real, honest work. You've looked in the mirror, faced your habits, questioned your environment, rewritten your identity. That's not small. That's not passive. That's transformation. You didn't quit halfway through. You didn't fast forward to the hype. You walked the long road word by word. And that's how you know you're already living differently. Because discipline doesn't just start on the outside. It starts inside, quietly, privately, before the world ever notices. And you've done the work. So what now? Now, you become the person money trusts. The person peace follows. The person who wakes up and says, I'm not overwhelmed. I'm ordered. I'm not behind. I'm aligned. I'm not confused. I'm committed. That's who you are now. Not because it's perfect. Not because every day is easy. But because every day, you choose. You choose to be intentional. You choose to protect your energy. You choose to lead your time. You choose to show up for your future, no matter how you feel today. That's discipline. That's power. And that's who you've become. Let me remind you of what you've learned. You learned that burnout is not a badge. That peace is more profitable than pressure. That small habits create big shifts. That saying no is a sacred investment. That time is wealth. And you're the investor. That your circle matters. That your environment matters. And most of all, you matter. Your dream, your calling, your energy, your discipline. It matters. Because this world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people like you. Focused, rooted, grounded, disciplined. People who don't just want success, but are willing to build it slowly, ruthlessly, quietly, until it roars. And if no one has told you lately, I'm proud of you. Not for being perfect, but for being present through this journey. Not for knowing everything, but for being willing to learn. Not for sprinting, but for not giving up. That's what builds real results. That's what creates real wealth. And that's why your future is already changing. So from this day forward, wake up like you're building something sacred. Move like someone who's trusted by the future. Rest when you need to, and never feel guilty about it. Protect your peace like gold. Say no like a leader. And build like the person you used to only dream about. Because now, that person is you. If this audiobook changed your mindset even just a little, let it change your life. Hit the like button, not for vanity, but to push this message further into the world. Subscribe to the channel so this momentum doesn't die here. And share this with someone you care about, someone who needs discipline, not more motivation. Because you're not just building wealth, you're building peace, power, and a future you're proud to wake up to. This is your time. This is your path. And discipline will lead the way. Thank you for listening. Now go build the life that's already calling your name.